Well, hello there, everybody. This is Carla, and welcome back to the studio. And thank you for joining me for another episode of Throwback Thursday, which this week it is posting on time. Awesome. So let me just quickly adjust this so we're straight and nothing's crooked. Just give me a moment. I'm kind of looking at my laptop off to the side here. And that looks good. I think we'll keep it at that. Want to make sure it's not all blurry. Okay, it looks good, so that's awesome. Okay, so again, thank you everyone for joining me. This is my Throwback Thursday, and my Throwback Thursdays, I feature a retired product. For this particular video, I will be using the Bottled Happiness bundle. So it is the Bottled Happiness Photopolymer stamp set, and there's also a coordinating vintage bottle punch that goes with this as well. So we are going to use the punch and we're going to create a shaker card for one of our projects. And then the other one is just doing some stamping where we're not even going to use the bottles that are in the stamp set. We're going to use this two-parter here of the floral images. So before I start the projects, let me quickly tell you what's currently going on. So right now, our annual catalog has officially gone live. This went live on May 6th. So now I could actually do this while I am on camera. I can share with you what's inside of the catalog. But I am not going to be doing that in this video because this video will then go very, very long. So if you are not working with a demonstrator, meaning if you haven't ordered through another demonstrator and you're here in the United States and you would like a paper copy of this catalog, in the description, there is my email, and just simply send me an email with your full name and mailing address, and I will be sure to get this catalog out to you. Now, right now, this is the only catalog that we have that is current. We do have some online exclusives in the online store that also went live this month for customers. So a lot of new product has come in. Plus, we still have that last chance products that's out there for some of the things that are going away that's still available. Now, one of the things too with a new catalog that Stampin' Up! Has as far as a special and what's going on, they have a starter kit special. So typically the starter kit costs $99 plus tax and the shipping is free. You get to choose $125 of product, and you also get some business supplies along with catalogs and also a paper pumpkin kit so you can see what that is all about. Now, during this special, which goes from May 6th through May 31st, you can choose $165. So that's an extra $40 in product in your kit for only $99 plus tax, and the shipping is free. Now, this amount that I'm giving you is for here in the United States. In Canada, you get to choose $220 in Canadian, and the cost of that is $135 Canadian plus the tax. I believe the shipping on that too is also free. So if you have any questions about this, now to be a demonstrator, you do not have to do what I'm doing and what a lot of other demonstrators are doing, where they are building it as a business and doing classes and doing videos. You do not have to do that if you do not want to. You can simply be a demonstrator, be part of a really awesome community of stampers. You can attend demonstrator only events. Plus, when catalogs new catalogs are about to come out, You also get to get a sneak peek as to what's in the catalog, and you also get to pre-order products before it goes live to customers. Uh, Let me see. There was something else I was just going to say. So you can simply enjoy you start off with a 20% discount, and when you hit a certain um, sales threshold, which is not hard to achieve at all, when you achieve that amount, then your um, your discount goes from 20% to 25%. And again, you do not have to build a business at all. You can just simply enjoy the discount. So, with that, if you also have any questions at all regarding that, again, my email is in the description. Just simply send me an email and ask me any question that you may have regarding getting the starter kit and becoming a demonstrator, and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Okay, so with that, let's now get started with our projects. So for the first project that I'm going to do, I am not even going to use the uh, the vintage bottle punch. I am going to use the stamps on this one. So for my card base, this is polished pink. This measures 8.5 by 5.5. I scored it at 4.25. I have a piece of old olive. This measures 4 by 3.25. I have a piece of basic white. This measures 4.5 by 3. And then I have another little piece of basic white that measures 2 3/8 by 1 inch. So let me bring in the stamps that I'm going to be using for this. So we're going to be using the greeting that says overflowing with happiness. And this has a really nice font to it. And then I want the two stamp images that are the flowers and then the leaves. So I'll pull those out. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my polished pink ink. Now this ink pad is pretty inky, so I use the back of a spoon to press the ink into the pad. So I'm going to flip it upside down so that way the ink won't go to the surface, so it's too inky. And then I also have old olive ink as well. Okay, and then let's see, let me get my blocks for these. And got that one. And then I have that. All right. So I'm going to start off, I'm going to fold and burnish my card base. Okay, I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper, and there's something that I realized that I didn't do on my card sample. So the picture that I have for the thumbnail, I don't know. Do I want to retake the picture or just leave it as is? I already took the picture of the sample cards, but what I needed to do, and this is what I did not do on my sample, I want to take these floral images right here. I'm going to ink it up in the polished pink ink, and then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to stamp it in either corner. And again, this is not what I did on the sample, but I will show you the sample after we put this one together. Okay, so I stamped this floral image in either corner of the cardstock, and I'm going to put that aside. Then I'm going to bring in my bigger piece of basic white. I'm going to stamp this as well. I'm going to go in the corner like so. And I'm going to flip it. And then I'm going to do the same thing down here. Okay. Close this up. And we'll need that again when we go to do our greening. And then I'm going to bring in my old olive ink. And then for the greenery piece, what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up so these pieces right in here are going to go into the center of these flowers. So I'm going to line this up. That's the easiest way that I found to line this up with that. So, and this ink pad is very inky. So I'm going to use the back of my spoon just to press that ink into the ink pad. And then I'm going to get my Stampin' scrub here just to clean the back of that spoon so I don't get ink all over the place. And then I'll clean this stamp while I'm at it. Okay. Now let's try this again. When the ink looks like it's bubbled up on the stamp, then that's a sign that there's just too much ink on it. Okay, so then just going to look at this. And I'm going to line that up. And then stamp that. So there's the green in the middle of those flowers. And then I'll do the same thing on this side. Just hold it over there, just kind of like turn it so it looks like it's lined up with the center of those flowers. Okay, so we'll close this up. Okay, and then one of the other things that I am going to do with this, I'm going to do some spritzing on it. So to do that, I'm going to open up my scrap paper here, and I'm going to bring in the light polished pink Stampin' Blend marker. Now, I'm going to flick some color on here, but the one thing that I'm not going to do, I am not going to flick the brush tip in my cap. And the reason why is because these brush tips on these markers, you could easily end up damaging them just by doing one little flick. So I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm just going to tap my marker the other way you can get some spritzes on here is take your ink pad, squeeze a little bit of ink into the lid or on an acrylic block, and then use like a paintbrush or a water painter and just pick up a little bit of ink and then just tap some of that color on there. Okay, so I don't know if you can see those little flicks of that light polished pink. So I'll put that aside. And then let me bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat again. This time let me take the plastic off so that way it's not glaring. And then I'm going to stamp this in polished pink ink. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do, I mean, you're not going to see it yet, but since I already made mention of it, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to retake the picture of these completed cards, and then I'm going to recreate the thumbnail for it. So then that way you see what the card should really look like. But I'll show you what the sample card came out like. Okay, so nice. I really like the polished pink. I hope polished pink is one of those colors that will come back again when they do a color refresh. They do that every few years, so hopefully they'll do that. Okay, then I'm going to take my basic white piece here. I'm going to add some seal to the back of it. And then I'm going to bring in my old olive piece and kind of like center this on there, and I don't think it's very straight. No, so I'm going to shift it down a little bit. I haven't pressed it down, so it's a little bit easy to move it around. Slide it over just a little bit. Okay. Okay, that looks good. And then I'm going to add adhesive on the back of this. And then I'll center that on my card base. Make sure I got it straight. Okay, I actually like this better. I'll show you the original. Now I'm going to take some adhesive. I'm going to add it to the middle of this, and then I'm going to bring in, this is the Sweet Sorbet metallic woven ribbon. So when we had these in colors, which I'm using most of them, I think I'm using all the colors but Sweet Sorbet. Sweet Sorbet is actually more red and this looks pink. So I thought this would tie in pretty good with this since we got a lot of pink in this. And I'm going to create a pretty large looped bow. This is going to go behind our greeting. So let me pull that and see what that looks like. Okay. And I'm going to place that in the middle like so. And then on the back of my greeting, well, I'm going to actually cut this, trim this down. Okay. And then on the back of my greeting, I'm going to add some dimensionals. Okay. And then we'll center this. I want to bring this down a little bit so I can see it better. And then I'm going to center this in the middle like so. Okay. And then I'm going to bring in the iridescent rhinestones basic jewels. What I like about these, they have that iridescent to them, but you can also see through them. So whatever you put them on top of, they're going to pull in that color. You'll see that color come through. And I think that's really, really neat. So let me use, I'm going to use these smaller ones. So I'm going to add like 2 down in this corner, and then another one I'll put right up here. Okay, so there is the first card, and I actually like how this one came out better than my sample. So let me show you the sample. So you can see I totally forgot to stamp the corners of the polished pink cardstock, but I really like this a lot better. So I am definitely going to retake the picture for the video thumbnail. Now see, if I never said anything, you would have never known that I already did the thumbnail picture, but I tend to get, you know, what I can done in advance, and then once the video is all recorded, then I'll just go and kind of do a copy and paste and upload the pictures and the description and all that other stuff. So but yeah, I'm gonna redo that picture. So okay, so then the second card, we're going to use that vintage bottle punch, and we're also going to create a shaker card. So for these pieces, I'm also bringing in more in colors that have since retired. Now this isn't one of them. Oh, actually, this was one way back when, but this color is now it did come back and it's part of one of our color collections. This is Blueberry Bushel. This measures 8.5. No, yeah, wait, hold on a second. It's a good thing I'm looking at my little notes over here to tell me what the dimensions are, because I just noticed that I had the wrong dimension on there. Whoops. Okay, so the card base, it's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. I have a piece of Tahitian Tide. Now this too was an in color. This was part of the in colors that, well, most of the colors that I'm using other than Sweet Sorbet. This one, Tahitian Tide, this measures for 5.25 by 4. Then I have a piece of basic white. This measures 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. And then Starry Sky, which was one of the in colors that went with Tahitian Tide. This piece measures 3.25 by 1 5/8. So I'm going to start and I'm going to fold and burnish my card base. Okay. And then I'm going to set that aside. Then on this piece here, I'm going to bring in my punch. And I'm going to go as far as I can with it. And I want to try and line this up with an equal amount of distance of cardstock on either side of my punch. I want to try and center this over just a tiny bit. And then I'm going to punch that out. So we have our white piece here. And then I'm going to bring in my stamps again. I'm going to pull out what we need. So the two floral images here, let me clean those really quick. I'm going to use these again. All right, now quickly clean this one too since I got this out. All right. Let me get my Pierce mat here. And then for this one, I'm going to use the greeting that says sending cheer. So let me pull that out. And we'll get a block for that. All right. So I'm going to bring this in. And then I'm going to take, let's see. I'm going to take my flower image first. And then we're going to do a fun little technique on this one. So we're going to have kind of like a two-tone image with that floral image. So I have Tahitian Tide ink and Blueberry Bushel. I am going to take the Tahitian Tide and I'm going to ink this up. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in a sponge dauber and my Blueberry Bushel ink, put a little bit on here, and then I'm just going to tap some, like say in the middle of the flowers. So we have a little bit of interest on here with more than one color. And then I'm going to line this up like so and stamp this right over the opening of the bottle. So what I'm doing is I'm lining this particular flower right here in the middle, right over the top of that. So there is our first stamping. And then we'll close these up. And then I'm going to bring in what's it, Parakeet Party. So this was another color that was part of these really bright in colors. And I'm going to stamp all the greenery in this color. I'm not going to add another color to it. I'm just going to use, and I put my hand in the ink. That wasn't smart. Especially when you're stamping on white cardstock, because you don't want ink from your hands getting all over. So again, I'm just looking at the centers of these flowers to kind of line it up the best that I can. Okay, so there is our bouquet of flowers there coming out of our bottle. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in Starry Sky. And I'm going to stamp my greeting sending cheer. And I'm going to stamp that right over on the side here. Okay. Okay. Then, along with this bundle, there are the vintage, now it's very small, the print is very, very small on here. These are the vintage bottle shaker domes. And over the years, we've had different bundles with shaker elements. So we have one for snow globe, we have one for a cloche, and what else did we have? There were a few of them because I do have them. Oh, and then there were ones for the gumball, for a gumball machine. So we've had a lot. And then in the online exclusives, there is a bundle that has a pig. I don't know if it's like a party pig or something. And then the stomach part would be open, and there's some really pretty shaker elements that you can put in it. So that's in our online exclusives right now. Okay, so on these shaker domes, you have adhesive on both the front and the back of it. So I am going to remove the paper backing off of the top of it. And then I'm going to place that down like so. And I'm going to line this up right over it. And then I'm going to just press that down like so. Okay, and then for my filler, these are the effervescent elements. And so these are, there's different sizes, and they are these solid round beads. There's no holes in these, but they just look like bubbles. So then I'm going to bring in a little spoon, and I don't want to overload my shaker with too many because I want to be able to shake this. So I think that'll be good. So let's close these. We definitely don't want these to spill all over the place because being that they're round, they will roll everywhere. Okay, then I'm going to remove this paper backing off of the back. And then this piece of Starry Sky. Now, it can be a scrap that'll be big enough, but this particular scrap that I cut is 3 1/4 by 1 5/8. And then I'm going to place this right over the opening like so. So we have something that's going to contain all of those little elements, shaker elements in there. And then I'm just going to press this down. And now you'll see like the bottle, it looks blue. And we have our little shaker elements, and they're all iridescent, so they look really pretty up against that Starry Sky cardstock. Okay, then we're going to take some of our seal. Now I'm going to add it to the back or to the one side, because it's both the same on either side of my Tahitian tide. So I know that there's going to be just a little bit of a border around this. So I'm not going to go fully across and at the very, at the very, very ends, because we don't want the adhesive to show. And then I'm going to center this on my Tahitian tide like so. And there's just that little bit of a border. Okay. And then for our card base, we're going to kind of do the same thing, because this now has this in there. It's hard to put adhesive on it because it's not completely flat. So make sure we got this the right way. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to go to the very ends because there is going to be a border of that card base. And then I'll center this like so. Just press that down. So there is a card. Now we're going to do a little bit of embellishing on here. So with that that metallic woven ribbon, like I said, they have all the colors that were in those in colors, and this is the Starry Sky metallic woven ribbon. And I'm going to tie a bow with this. I don't need a very big bow. And this is pretty easy to tie, and there's not any bulk either when you tie it. I remember when they first came out with this ribbon many years ago. It was when they had this coffee sweet, and it was a copper color. So you can take this and you can actually like pull it apart if you wanted to, and then you can just put it right back together like so. All right, so then I'm going to trim the ends here. Okay, and then let me get my glue dots. Get my bow. Okay, and then I want to tuck this glue dot a little bit. I'm going to kind of wrap it around the back of it because it is bigger than the ribbon itself. And then I'm going to stick that right there at the top of the bottle. Okay, and then one more little embellishment. I'm going to bring in these iridescent rhinestones again. I'm going to use what I got left on there. So this one's a larger one. So I have another sheet here. Before these had retired, I bought a whole bunch of these because I love these things so much. So, okay, so then on these, I'm going to place them on the larger flowers here. So we got, let's see, got this one. And I missed getting some of that blue on there, that darker blue. Okay, and then let me take this and I'm going to stick this on this sheet, and then I can get rid of that. Okay, so let me move all this stuff out of the way and let me show you the card. So there is our second card. We did a shaker card here. Now for this, to mail this, because this is not flat, I would suggest that this would be the type of card that you either hand deliver or you can also put it in a bubble mailer that will kind of help and protect this from getting crushed, because this won't be able to go through that postal machine. It'll tear up the envelope, and it'll probably break that as well, or it'll probably jam up the machine as well. So there is our second card, our little shaker where we use that vintage bottle punch. And then the other card that we made, we just used those greenery 2 steps on the stamps on this one. So it's kind of cool. We didn't use the bottle on this one at all. Again, I didn't have to mention this earlier, but since I had already did that, I took the picture for the thumbnail already. I'm going to retake it so we have that card, because my sample one, now when you kind of look at it, it kind of looks a bit blah without the stamping on either corner on the polished pink. So I like that one much better. So I will be retaking the picture, so you will never see what the old one looked like. Okay, so thank you everybody for joining me for another episode of Throwback Thursday. Throwback Thursdays are the pre-recorded videos that I do where I pull out my retired stash, and sometimes it's the first time I'm putting ink to the stamp set. So that's pretty sad. Like this one, for example, I was kind of late in getting this particular uh, bundle. So now that it's retired, now that I'm using it, and that's what my Throwback Thursdays are all about. It's about using that retired stash that I have so much of, and plus it gives you a little bit of inspiration that if you happen to have this bundle, then it gives you that inspiration to kind of pull it out and play with it again. So tomorrow night at 7 p.m., I will be here for my Friday Night Live. I will be featuring the Mixed Media Florals Suite. That is an online exclusive item. So I will be doing that 7 p.m. Central Standard Time right here. I do have quite a few ladies that join me in the chat. And at the end, I do a wheel of names, and I give away the 3 cards that I made in that live. So I hope that you'll be able to join us. And if you're not able to and you watch the replay, I appreciate that as well. Every little bit helps. So if you like this video, please give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel and then hit the notification bell. That will let you know whenever I post a new video and when I go live. And every little bit, comments, likes, shares, all of that helps in YouTube getting my videos out there for more people to see. And then ultimately, it also helps me in building my Stampin' Up! Business as well. And again, if you would like a paper copy of the new annual catalog, please send me an email with your name and mailing address. And if you have any questions at all regarding that starter kit special that just started on the 6th, um, ask any question that you may have about. Be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. So until next week, everyone, stay safe and have a blessed one. Bye bye.